What's up, losers? Today I'm back with some more r/fatlogic merrymaking. Taking a look at a couple of comical or contentious fat acceptance posts. Sharing my responses to them. And having a grand old time through it all. This is episode 134 in the fatlogic series. And I'm ready to go. So without further preamble, let's get into it.
I really dislike the term overweight, over what weight, over the weight, that the oppressive paradigm of diet culture deems acceptable, or perhaps over the weight, that socially constructed beauty and thin ideals have dictated. I'm confused.
God, don't you just love it when they try to get clever with us? Like, overweight, over what weight, bet you don't have anything to say to that. Ha, checkmate skinnies. They really think they're owning us with facts and logic. Or something, by playing dumb word games. And being deliberately obtuse. But what can I say? I'm not buying it. I mean, sure, the question of what qualifies as overweight does not always have a clean-cut answer. Because weight exists on a spectrum. And some marginal cases fall somewhere in between, notably overweight and normal. But by and large, if someone is clearly carrying around a lot of excess fat, and they are comfortably above the threshold for the overweight BMI band, they are overweight, and these criteria would be accepted by pretty much everyone who isn't a raging fat activist. Because most overweight people can acknowledge that they could afford to drop a few pounds. And they don't burst into flames anytime someone threatens their fragile ego by accurately describing their size. What makes this discussion especially frustrating to participate in is how the vast majority of fat activists are not themselves marginal cases who hover in between overweight and normal. And could go either way. They are nearly always obese. And many of them are morbidly obese. So when they attempt to challenge the term overweight, based on its parameters being drawn somewhat arbitrarily, all I can think is, what does it matter to you? We could move the bar for overweightness up by 50 pounds. And you'd still be clearing it in street shoes. I really think you've got more important things to worry about, haha. Finally, the post can say that this is all about the oppressive paradigm of diet culture and the thin ideal, all they want, but the reality is that being overweight is bad for one's health. And being obese is even worse. Recognizing this state of affairs is the primary purpose that overweight, as a descriptor, serves, and it's totally legitimate to use the word in this way. If assholes co-opt the word to bully fat people, or body shame people who are actually at a healthy weight, then obviously that's awful, but in no way does it invalidate overweight as a medical term. And I'll say it once again. It doesn't matter how many words for fat these fat activists try to censor or problematize. They'll still be fat, and that'll still be unhealthy. So really, what is the point?
The idea that you can reverse your diabetes with weight loss is a pervasive one, but weight loss doesn't cure diabetes. It only masks it for the time you can maintain the weight loss. As we already know, weight loss is temporary. For most people, there are always outliers, but recommending interventions based on outliers is bad medicine. When you lose weight, you may see improvements in blood sugars. The body is starving for food. And so yes, it gets better at utilizing the energy you do give it. But because weight loss requires you to eat less than what your body actually wants and needs, and because you don't live in an actual famine, and there is food around, most people will almost always fall off the diet, and the body will busy itself getting the amount of energy it actually wants and needs. Weight is regained, and insulin resistance ensues, probably in no small part due to the inflammation diets seem to cause. And sometimes weight loss doesn't help at first at all. Here is a true story from my Self-Care for Diabetes co-host Glenn S. Oyston. When I was an intern, a gentleman came into the clinic I was rotating through. A few months before, he had been diagnosed with diabetes. He was beaming in our appointment. I've lost 30 pounds since my diagnosis. I looked at his latest labs. His A1C was very high. It had trended up since his diagnosis. I said, "What did you do to lose weight?" He said, "I bought a juicer, and have been mostly just drinking wEiGHt juice." So he lost weight, but his diabetes didn't improve, because he starved on juice. Much of it vegetables, some of it fruit, with no fiber, protein, fat, or starch to balance out meals. He had vegetables and fruit in the form of liquid, but not much else. In this case, his weight loss didn't help him. We have many stories like this one. We also have stories where our clients gained some weight, but normalized their eating, by stopping dieting, and letting go of diet mentality, and their A1C improved. Bodies don't actually like to starve. They need food. Intentional weight loss increases inflammation. Diabetes is an inflammatory condition. Do you see the cycle perpetuated by dieting? There is a better way to take care of yourself, and it's not with dieting and weight loss. We've created an excellent free guide on how to start taking care of yourself with diabetes. The non-diet way. Grab it here. Weight loss doesn't cure diabetes.
See guys, this right here is why, when people say that we should leave fat acceptance and haze alone, I'm not having it. Like, this is not just sheets and giggles. Having fun at the expense of cringy fat activists. Well, okay, that might be part of it, but it's also calling out legitimately dangerous misinformation and quackery, like this post, that cynically capitalizes on fat people in a tough situation, looking for an easy way out, to sell them BS advice that could genuinely ruin their lives, or even get them killed. It's despicable, and I will never apologize for saying as much. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain why instructing diabetics not to lose weight is absurd and irresponsible, regardless of whether most attempted diets fail. But that seems to be the argument that I've been presented with. So I'll offer the following analogy. We know that smokers and addicts of various kinds often fail in their attempts to quit, or enjoy temporary success, before ultimately relapsing, but this does not mean that they should just give up preemptively and focus on other things. Does it? Losing weight, quitting smoking, or breaking an addiction can all be extremely difficult. I would never deny that. But they are possible, and when the stakes are so high for the person in question's health, it would be wrong not to encourage them not to go all out. To secure the best possible outcome, people deserve to be given a chance to fight for themselves, not to be written off ahead of time, and made to accept the health consequences that await them as a given. This post might pretend that it's looking out for fat people, but all it's really doing is disempowering them, and forcing them to settle for less than they deserve. And frankly, I find that reprehensible. Furthermore, could the poster have been any more slimy and manipulative in their representation of dieting than choosing that wacky-ass anecdote about the dude and his juicer? Like, for all their talk about not making recommendations based on outliers, they sure seem happy to bring in a crazy outlier to illustrate their own points. Most people who try to lose weight are not doing so with an all-juice diet. No respectable doctor is going to suggest such a course of action. And the results that such an unorthodox approach deliver simply cannot be equated to the results one would expect from a regular weight loss plan. In other words, this whole story is nothing more than a pathetic straw man of what dieting is actually about. And the fact that they felt that it was appropriate to include it says more about their lack of scruples than it does about anything else. So overall, I hate this post. I think it's dangerous, irresponsible, disempowering, and wildly misleading, and I think that whoever wrote it and saw fit to share it with the world should be ashamed of themselves. 0 out of 10 just awful.
1,000 calories a meal, or you're not eating enough.
Okay, so I don't really know what to say to this one, other than I don't agree with it, haha. Like, I probably have the odd meal that goes close to 1,000 calories. when I'm feeling particularly indulgent. But the idea of having 3 of them in a day, every day, plus snacks, knowing fat activists, sounds rather daunting to me. I enjoy eating, sure, but I'm not like, always hungry. And I really don't need every single meal to be huge. And if I actually started eating this way, I have little doubt that I would start putting on weight at an alarming rate. Which I'm not overly enthusiastic about. So it's going to be a no from me. That probably makes me eating disordered in the eyes of the fat activists. But what can I say? It's just the way I am. I guess we're just not all cut out for the fat lifestyle. The best I can do is admire from a distance. Sighs, what a shame. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you had fun reading through these posts with me, and that you got something out of my commentary. What do you think? Is overweight a problematic term? Should fat diabetics just not bother losing weight? Does every meal need to have 1000 calories? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll crush your spirit beneath the oppressive paradigm of diet culture. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.